I wanted to give you a thought on something in Vayakel. In the beginning of Vayakel, which means to gather together, the Torah tells us about the Jewish people and their contributions to building the tabernacle in the desert. And the Torah tells us how everyone that was generous-hearted, the men and the women, they brought everything they had with a spirit, whatever it was, if it was wools, if it was rugs, if it was wood, if it was gold, if it was silver, whatever they could, they brought. And in fact, the Torah tells us in the first time of history, imagine if it ever happened again, that Moses had to beg the people, stop bringing things. Enough, we have so much, we don't need anymore. I don't think there's ever been a fundraiser in a Jewish shul or a community that they told you enough, we don't need anymore. They always ask for more. In the one time in history, Moshe tells everyone, enough, you brought enough. But then in verse 3, in portion of Vayakel, the Torah tells us that they took from in front of Moses all the contributions that were brought through Eheliav and the people that were the architects of the temple, and they brought it to build. But then it says at the end of the verse, V'hei meviu, when they brought od nedava, another contribution, baboker, in the morning. And the question arises, who are these people that brought more donations? And why are they singled out from all the rest of the Jewish people, the men and the women? Secondly, why doesn't it mention who they are? And thirdly, why did they come baboker, early in the morning? And I want to give you a thought from the Maharanach. The Maharanach was a 17th century Jewish sage, and he says a thought that's brought down in Yalkut Me'am Loaz, which is a book of Jewish Midrash. And I'll give it to you in the analogy of the story. Some of you have heard of Reb Zusha of Anipoli, one of the greatest Hasidic masters in the 18th century, who was a very holy man. He was a poor man, but a very holy man. And his daughter was getting married, and he scrapped together all the last monies he could have to be able to get her a beautiful gown made by the seamstress. And they commissioned the gown, which would take 3-4 weeks to make. And finally, at the end, his wife and his daughter go to get it, and they come back an hour later, and they're empty-handed. And Reb Zusha looks at his wife, and he says, where's the gown? Maybe it wasn't ready. Maybe something happened on the way. Where is it? And his wife says, I'll tell you the truth. We came to get the gown, and the seamstress brought out the most exquisite gown we've ever seen. And as she's giving it to us, she starts sobbing. And I say to her, why are you crying? And she says, I'm crying because I have a daughter that's also getting married, and I wish I could afford to have such a beautiful gown for my daughter's wedding. And she's sobbing, and at that moment, Reb Zusha's wife says, our daughter turned to me and said, Mom, I don't want this gown. I want to give it to this girl. Let her have the gown. We could figure it out. We'll ask our friends. We'll borrow something. We'll get together more money. And I was so touched by her decision, and that's why we came home without a gown. And Reb Zusha says, wow, that's amazing. But let me ask you a question. Did you pay the seamstress for her work? And Reb Zusha's wife looks at him and says, pay the seamstress for her work? I just gave her the gown as a gift. I didn't take it. What do you mean I should pay her for it? So Reb Zusha says to his wife, are you kidding me? For 4 weeks she worked on this gown. She probably had to turn away other work. She was expecting to get paid. Of course you have to pay her for it. And Reb Zusha's wife thinks, and she says, you're right. And she takes the money and she goes and she pays the seamstress for the work she did. Says the Maharanach, this great sage in the 17th century, he says, you know who these people were that brought an extra donation in the morning? They were the craftsmen. They were the builders of the Holy Tabernacle, people who volunteered their time and their talents to build the most exquisite, beautiful place for God to rest His divinity. And they could have just said, listen, we gave our time, we gave our talent, we're building it. Do we also have to give our merchandise? Do we also have to give our gold and our silver? Yet they got up in the morning, and they went and they said, we want to be part of this, not just by donating our time. We want to give our merchandise. We want to give whatever we could to make a difference. And the Rebbe said, and the Maranach says something even greater. He says, listen to the words. It says, Baboker, Baboker. They came early in the morning. Why did we build a tabernacle for God? It was a way for forgiveness for the sin of the golden calf. When the Jewish people sinned by taking their gold and throwing it into the fire to make an idol. Think about it. What does it say when they got up to make an idol for God? To worship? It says they got up Baboker in the morning. These people who were making up for that sin, they got up Baboker before the morning even. Because they didn't want to waste time from when they had to build. They were builders. They built from morning to night. They got up earlier and they said, we're going to go build now. We're going to go give a gift now so we don't have to waste time from our building. And that's why Moses records them specifically and says their donations separately. Because these are people that taught us a message. Imagine you're married and you're upset at your spouse. You could do what you have to do just to fulfill your obligation. But if you're in love and you're full of love and passion for your spouse, you don't just do something because you have to, but you do it with full of love and zest and joy. Same thing as with communal work. There's people that get involved because they have no choice. And then there's people that give because they love to give, to make a difference, to be engaged. And I'll finish with a story. It was 1955. In Shimshon Stock, a blessed memory, a young man living in Brooklyn, New York. And it was late at night and he came off the trolley. The last train coming in front of 770 Eastern Parkway headquarters, where just 5 years earlier, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, of blessed memory, took over the leadership of Chabad. Chabad then didn't have as many emissaries as we have now. They had very few, in fact, Morocco and a few other places. But the Rebbe worked tirelessly into the night for the Jewish people. And off the train came Shimshon Stock with this young man and his bar mitzvah boy. He was turning bar mitzvah. And he took him in to get him an audience with the Rebbe to get some guidance and blessing for his bar mitzvah. The boy comes in and the Rebbe gives him blessings. And then the Rebbe turns to him, surprisingly when he's finished, and says, tell me, are you a baseball fan? And the kid says yes. Living then in Brooklyn, in Crown Heights, where I grew up, it was before I was born, when my parents literally lived a few blocks away from Ebbets Field where the Dodgers played. So people were very involved in baseball there, and the Rebbe asked him, are you a baseball fan? He says, yes. And the Rebbe says, are you a Dodgers fan or a Yankee fan? And he says, a Dodgers fan. He says, does your dad ever take you to games? And the kid says, sometimes. He says, when's the last time you went to a game? He said, I went a few weeks ago, but the Dodgers were losing so badly, 12-2, that in the sixth inning I got up and I left. I said, enough. So the Rebbe says, let me ask you a question. Did the players also leave? Or just you? And the kid turns to the Rebbe and says, Rebbe, you got to understand, there's players and there's fans. Fans are spectators. You come to the game, you enjoy it. If you like it, you stay. If you don't, you leave. But if you're a player, you're in the game. You can't leave. You got to be engaged and involved in the game till the end. And the Rebbe says, aha, the same is with Judaism. You could be a player or you could be a fan. A fan is there when things are good, when things are exciting, when things are fun, when things work for him. A player is there the whole time. He plays till the end, even when it's hard, even when it's tough, even when they're losing, even when it's not fun. The Rebbe said, I'm asking you, remember, be a player, don't be a fan. And that's the message that the Torah is telling us about Yaakov, about these great craftsmen and builders who were players, they weren't fans. They said, we have another way to get involved. We're going to get involved. We won't just build. We just won't just give ideas, but we'll actually give from our precious gems or anything else we have to make a difference. Why do I say this? Because we're living in tough times. And the next few weeks are going to be really challenging for all of us. But that's when we're going to find out if we're fans or we're players. Are we just going to sit at home and watch our family and protect the ones that we love dearly, but not think about the ones that are vulnerable? What do I recommend? I recommend that each and every one of us take at least 10-15 minutes a day and think about every vulnerable person we know, if they're older, or if they're vulnerable because of their health, or if they're vulnerable because they had a job that they might have lost that's not paying them, like most of us are blessed that we don't have to worry about how we're going to pay our bills. And call these people every day for the next 3 weeks and see what they need. Do they need a loaf of bread? Do they need help paying a bill? Do they need help just talking to someone so they shouldn't be lonely? Do they need a warm cooked meal? We at Chabad will all be fans. We have all be players. We have an amazing community, and we have to step up to the plate and make a difference. Courtney and I and everyone at Chabad are available to make this difference. Friday, right before Shabbos, Ellie and I went out to 20 homes of people that are vulnerable, just older people who might be staying at home and drop something off of Shabbos, if it was meat, if it was salad. We had the blessing that we were supposed to have a bar mitzvah in Shul on Shabbos, and we couldn't have the bar mitzvah. All the food, what happened to the food? So thank God to Ranan Milgram, who celebrated his bar mitzvah this Shabbos, that he said, Rabbi, take the food and make sure you give it out to people that might need it, or just that might be staying home, and tell them that it's in honor of my bar mitzvah. And that's what we did. So I'm asking you to get involved, to be engaged with us, and hopefully we'll get through this together and we'll be stronger. Goodbye for now, but I'll be doing this a lot more often. Unfortunately, you'll be hearing from me a lot, and I encourage you to share it if you know anyone that might want to hear it, and to get engaged in being a player, not just a fan. May Hashem watch and protect all of us, and may we all be safe, and may Hashem bring healing to everyone that needs it, spiritual